guys. Give me a minute. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm dying right now. Anyway, I'm sorry guys. I just okay. I'm sorry, I gotta focus. I gotta get myself together. Anyway. Okay, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Okay. Hey guys, Logan Bowles here, and welcome to Logan Bowles Football Talk, where I'll be giving some pretty long discussions about any football-related subject: football coach, player, game, schedule, stadium, team, you name it, whatever. For this episode, we are going to be talking about the Iron Bowl, which happened yesterday. The rivalry game between the Clemson Tigers and the Auburn Tigers. Or no, not the... I'm sorry, I messed it up. I apologize. Between the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Auburn Tigers. Alabama versus Auburn. A huge rivalry game, mind you. Yeah. Anyway, I just watched the entire game from beginning to end, from start to finish. Just every single play of the game I've watched. And I gotta tell you, it was a great game to watch. Holy crap. Auburn just rolled over Alabama. Just rolled over the Tide. How... You see what I did there? Anyway, so for those who have not watched the entire game last night, Auburn, the 9-2 ranked number 6 Auburn Tigers, led by Gus Malzahn, the head coach for the Auburn Tigers, beat, and not just beat, but also upset the number 1 ranked undefeated team in the nation. The Alabama Crimson Tide, coached by Nick Saban. He's like, what is it? Is he like a 5-time national champion with the Alabama Crimson Tide? I think I got that right. No, or he might have won 4 with them. Anyway, Auburn upset Alabama 26-14. I'm not making this up, man. You should look up the score for that game, a final score for that game, 26-14. I am not kidding you. That is the exact final score of the freaking entire Iron Bowl. Oh my gosh, I had a blast watching that entire game. Especially when Auburn scores a touchdown and Alabama didn't. Although they did score 2 touchdowns in the game. But I'm not going to get into much of that right now. Like in the last few episodes I've done, I've written down a few notes of what I wanted to say for this in this episode. So, yeah. Let's get onto it. So the first thing that I just put in, the first note that I just put is obviously what I just told you. Auburn defeated Alabama, the formerly number 1 ranked undefeated Alabama, 26-14, and Auburn became the first team in the season to give Alabama their first loss in the season, which is, as someone who really hates Alabama with a freaking passion so much, I couldn't really be any more happy with that. It's just so awesome just to see Alabama lose to Auburn, or just mostly Auburn beating Alabama. But Alabama's loss is more important to me than any other team's win against Alabama. But I'm not going to get into too much of that. This is a subject for another day. But yeah, I already told you what just happened. Another thing, and this, what I've noticed as I was watching the game, this was the first time in this season that Alabama has trailed in the first quarter. And like I said, if you have not watched the game, basically Alabama gave up a touchdown to Auburn. Auburn being the first to score points in the game, leading 7-0 in the first quarter. That I really didn't expect. I was expecting Alabama to be the first one to score in the game, which they usually do in like almost every single freaking game. But no, that actually didn't happen. Auburn really did score a touchdown in the first quarter and had not given up any point to Alabama in that quarter, which is pretty surprising to me. And after, now that I think about it, it actually, as I was watching that in the first quarter, I was thinking to myself, is that a sign that is that a sign that Auburn is actually going to beat Alabama? Because if it is, that would be awesome. And yeah, that happens at the end of the game. But we are going to get into that in just a few minutes. So yeah, this was the first time I've noticed that Alabama has trailed in the first quarter that I've noticed, being down 7-0 against Auburn. So that was pretty cool to me, I guess. And also, I don't know if anybody has noticed this, but I just noticed this myself. I was doing some research as I was preparing to do this episode. This was, and I don't think a lot of people talked about this enough. This was Alabama's first time since last year's game against Ole Miss that they have trailed at halftime. Now, a lot of people, including the announcers, I forgot who they were. They were probably Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler, or any other announcer that is not two of those guys. But anyway, I hadn't heard a lot of people talk about this, but I pretty much am maybe the first person to actually talk about that, about Alabama's first time to be trailed at halftime, just to trail at halftime. They were down 10-7 against Auburn. Auburn led at halftime 10-7. So that was pretty cool. And I was beginning to think maybe Auburn is actually the team to beat Alabama. And so yeah, and that's pretty much that. Alabama trailing at halftime, which is really awesome for me. I'm gonna get flack for saying things like that. Anyway, okay, yeah, 408 is the most total yards that Alabama has ever given up this season. As I think that's the most total yards that I think Alabama has given up this season. I checked Alabama's entire season on Wikipedia this year. And I checked at every single game that they have played in the last 11 or 12 weeks. And they played every single 11 games that they played. And I couldn't find a single game against their opponents in which they'd given up over 400 total yards against their opponents. But yeah, I could be wrong. I could have overlooked that. I might have looked at it wrong. There might have been one team that had actually gave 400 total yards, plus total yards against Alabama. If there is, let me know in the comments section below and tell me who it was. I cannot wait to find out who that it was. But if it's actually is true that Auburn is the only team so far this year that has given Auburn or Alabama, or made Alabama given up 400 plus total yards, then yeah, I think I got that covered correctly. If I didn't, let me know. Anyway, let's talk about Auburn. Auburn came in and ready to play like a real team. A real freaking team. And I said this to my some of my family members. I won't name who they are, but I told one of them, Auburn is not as much of a scrubby team as I thought they would be going into the season. They're actually pretty much more than just a solid team. They're actually really legit. And yeah, I was very impressed by Auburn in this entire game. They had not led at each of the end of every quarter of the game. Auburn has not given up a lead to Alabama at each end of every quarter of the game. Yeah, that's pretty interesting, I might add. Huh. Auburn led in the first quarter 7-0, and they still led in the second quarter 10-7. And I forgot where they were. I forgot where they were leading in the third quarter, or what score they were leading, but it was somewhere like I don't even know. I'm not going to fool with looking that up. But anyway, in the fourth quarter, and yes, in the fourth quarter, at the end of that game, at the end of the fourth quarter, Auburn still led the game against Alabama, I mean, and has already won the game, 26-14. I almost forgot how many points Alabama has scored. I don't know why. But anyway. But yeah, like I said, Auburn came in and ready to play like a real team players and all that stuff, including their quarterback, Jared Stidham. I might have got his last name wrong, and if I did, then I apologize to that dude. He might not have scored a touchdown, but he also didn't have a interception. The only thing that he has was 237 passing yards that he had made. He had passed for 237 yards, pretty much that. So yeah, I would say he's actually really solid. There were like a couple passing plays or rushing plays he would make that I really thought that wouldn't be possible, but no, he actually made some of those impressive plays possible. And that was pretty much a plus, I guess, or a major plus if you are an Auburn fan, which I am certainly not, but I was hoping that they would beat Alabama in this game. Yep. Anyway, but yeah, Jared Stidham as the quarterback for the Auburn Tigers, pretty good. He did a really solid job against Alabama. I didn't think he would look that good in this game, but he did. And that's pretty much a major accomplishment I will give to him, as well as the Auburn defense, which, by the way, Auburn's defense was legit. Auburn's defense was absolutely legit. I don't know how many yards they have given up, both passing and rushing, but I will say in fourth or third down possessions or conversions, they stopped Alabama at a lot more. What was it? Probably both third and fourth downs, more than they have given up third or fourth downs against Alabama, which is really surprising. I didn't think that Auburn would be able to stop Alabama's offense on either third or fourth down. Now Auburn was a lot better this year than I thought they would be. Just wow. Uh, they've really proven that they can beat anybody. And this game really proves that they can. Anyway, moving on from Auburn, getting on to Jalen Hurts and as well as everybody else on the Alabama team. It's not. I'm not. I will say this about Jalen Hurts. He's not really terrible, but he's also really not that great. I mean, yes, he can make some good plays there and there, especially rushing yards, which he's really good at. I will give him that. Passing plays, his passing was kind of mediocre at best. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, a lot of people, especially Alabama fans, I'm not so sure, but I think they've been giving Jalen Hurts flack for not being as great or really great as they were hoping he would be coming into the season. Yeah. I mean, and I will say this: even though I'm not a big fan of Jalen Hurts, and I don't think I don't consider him to be a great quarterback, I will say that he's not the only problem, or I should say, the only reason why Alabama lost. He's not the only reason, which he's pretty much one of the reasons why Alabama lost. It's also on their coaching staff and their defense as well that is pretty much at fault here. Alabama's defense was not as good as people made them out to be, or even said that they are. Alabama's defense from last year were really great compared to this defense in this game. Yeah. I mean, Auburn just, like I said earlier, ran over Alabama in ways I didn't think would be possible. I'm just like, okay, all right, Auburn is really playing well against Alabama, and I like that for someone who really hates Alabama, but I won't be getting into that much more. What else? Oh yeah, another reason I think why Alabama lost the game is because of the penalties that they have gotten. They've been penalized 8 times with 60 yards of penalty, one of them being a personal foul on Alabama's Rashaan Evans in the third quarter of the game. Now, I don't know what position Rashaan Evans is in. I don't know if he played a wide receiver or he might have been on the offense or defense. I'm not so sure which one, but I'm not going to fool with getting to what position he's in. But I will say that he pretty much made that a penalty. Let's just put it that way. One more thing I wanted to point out about this game. This was not the first time in this entire football season in college football season that Auburn has beaten a number 1 ranked team in the nation. Not to mention the number 1 ranked undefeated team in the nation. They also knocked off Georgia out of the number 1 spot back in week 11 when they beat the Bulldogs 40-17. Now keep in mind, week 11 was like a couple weeks weeks ago today, or I think it was 2 weeks ago today. Anyway, back then, Georgia was ranked number 1, undefeated, being 10-0 before they lost to Auburn. Yeah, that was crazy. I just couldn't believe it. Now that I think about it, Auburn beat Georgia 40-17 back in week 11. I just could not believe that. Like, really? That's, whew, man. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that. It's just like I already said about Auburn beating two teams that were ranked number one and were undefeated. 2 times Auburn has done that. Excuse me. That. Woo-wee. When you beat 2 teams who are not just ranked number one in the nation, but also undefeated, if you beat 2 of those kinds of teams, you're going to have a lot of people praise, not willing to give you a praise, not willing to praise you enough, but probably will when you beat 2 teams that were ranked number one in the nation and were also undefeated. That is also another major accomplishment by Auburn. So give them credit for that. They beaten 2 this year. They beaten 2 teams who were undefeated and were ranked number one in the nation. Give them credit for that. And these are the 3 couple of points that I want to make. Since Alabama lost to Auburn, where do I think they will be ranked at next week? And I've been thinking about this as I was preparing to do this episode, and I personally would not rank them in the top 5. That's right, I just said it. I hope the committee will realize that Alabama was formerly undefeated and number one ranked Alabama, who now lost to Auburn, will not and should not be in the top 4 or top 5. Just stuff like that. I mean, come on. You can put them at 5, and that's okay with me. But putting them at 4, nah, don't put them at 4. They don't deserve to be at 4 now that they lost to Auburn. The only spots that I can really see Alabama being at is either at number 6 or at number 7. Those are the only 2 spots that I can really see Alabama being ranked at and coming to next week. But other than that, number 5, I guess you can say they could be ranked at 5. I mean, I can see that, but 6 and 7 would be the best spots to put Alabama at after they lost to Auburn, as far as I'm concerned. But I'm afraid the committee won't do that. They'll probably put Alabama at 4 or somewhere a little bit higher, and that's, yeah, I'm gonna be upset about that, but that's just how it works. And so, yeah. Anyway, and another question that I wanted to point out is, even if Alabama already had a loss to Auburn, are they still able to reach the playoffs? And my answer to that question is pretty simple. No! They won't reach the playoffs, even if they only had 1 loss. Even if they only had 1 loss, if you have 1 loss that is pretty much at the end of your regular season, and you are trying to win your division by winning your last regular season game, and you didn't do that by losing to a team that you were supposed to beat, that you should not be able to reach the playoffs just based on that. A team that has won a conference division should and will probably win a conference championship if Auburn was successful at beating Georgia once again. Auburn should be able, even though they have 2 losses, which I don't think they are qualified to reach the playoffs just to have 2 losses. But like I said, I don't think, even if you have Auburn at number, or not, even if you have Auburn winning the SEC, what was it, West or East? SEC West Division, I don't think you could be able to put them in the top 4. and stuff like that. That's, yeah. Anyway, but no, Alabama should not be put in the top 4, even if they only had one loss, because, like I said a minute ago, if you had one loss at the end of your regular season, you are disqualified to be put in the playoffs. I'm sorry. Even if you have one loss, you are still disqualified to reach the playoffs just based on your loss at the end of your regular season loss, a losing game. Just stuff like that. That's just me, though. I don't think the committee will do that. They'll probably, like I said, put them in the top 5, or probably in the 4, which I hope they don't. But anyway, so yeah, overall, and this is the last one that I will say. Overall, Auburn handled their business against Alabama in ways a lot of people didn't think would be possible, or really didn't expect. I, as a matter of fact, picked Alabama to win this game very closely, and I'm so glad that I'm wrong, because I have and always wanted to be wrong whenever I pick them to win a football game. Some of you Alabama fans might accuse me of teasing my game prediction, which was 34 Alabama, 21 Auburn, which is the exact game prediction that I made for this game. And that is more than fine with me. I am totally fine with you guys accusing me of teasing my prediction, but I must remind you guys that your Crimson Tide will always have a loss in every season. In fact, I predicted back before this football season even started that Alabama would have one loss this year. I didn't say who they would lose to. I just said that they would have one loss this year. And that's exactly what happened. I tried to tell you Alabama fans that your team will have one loss this year, and y'all didn't listen. Which is okay. All is good. All is good. But yeah, throw the hate down on me all you want to. I don't care. I'm ready. Anyway, yeah, that's about all that I will say for now. So anyway, guys, I just realized that this video is 30 minutes long, but, it needs to be said. So anyway, guys, that is my 20th, I believe, episode of Logan Bell's Football Talk. That's crazy. 20 episodes that I've done for this series. That's pretty cool, I must say. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please click the like button and comment down below to let me know what you think of this game, if, of course, you have watched it. And as always, if you enjoyed what you've seen here and you want to see future videos from me, please click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great week, Battle Squad, and as always, fight the good fight. Peace!